We go out without lights. When we come back, the children will tell us that they brought light. Only for us to relax, we will not see the light. We pay the bills, we don't know why we are paying bills. And the heat is too much in this Lagos, I don't really know. Nowhere is airy, nothing like ventilation again.
Me, I'm a fashion designer. You know, without light, fashion designer cannot work. We can't even work at all. Just because of the light, things are very, very worst every blessed day. After government who said youth of nowadays are very lazy. People that are very energetic, that are very serious and focused and have the determined by their work. When there's no light, nothing you can do.
We've talked, we've tweeted, and everything we've done all this while, but nothing is changing. So I just hope one day somehow we have a change, because it's not been easy. It's been terrible in Nigeria as it is presently. But we are still hopeful, in Lagos especially, of course. We are still hopeful that things will change. Scarcity, fuel, for no reason. We try to, okay, why all this? We see no reason for that, and it keeps going on. It's not been palatable at all.
Ijanike, where I stay, is 1 day on, 2 days on, 1 day off. And that 2 days off, we don't even see light for more than 1.5 a day. Probably we see light 2 hours. That 2 hours is not even consistent. 30 minutes, or we don't even see it at all.
Running generator 24 hours is not possible in Nigeria because of the hike in the fuel. So government should just do something drastic measure to save Nigerians. Nigerians are really, really suffering.
The scarcity supply of electricity, okay, is due to so many things. So there is more demand for power. And what is on ground already is not even enough. So what they can do is to increase power generation, distribution, and transmission.
Well, electricity security is actually fair, but it could be better, you know. Some areas in Ikorodu there are some aspects in Ikorodu where lights don't reach, where people don't have enough. For example, a lot of people are into cold rooms. People are into cold room business in Ikorodu, and most of them complain of something spoiling in the freezer or something. You understand? So electricity in Ikorodu could actually be better. The government could do more, actually. There are plenty dump sites in Lagos State. They can use dump to produce energy. So with this, I think it should be possible for light to circulate.
The situation in the country right now, especially the electricity, has gotten back to the worst. And the fuel scarcity, well, I think it's gradually returning back to normal. There are lesser queue. People are going in and getting fuel and coming out. In some area, they are selling above 165. So, but we hope the government should try as much as possible to fix.
Thanks for staying with us. So on this segment, we'll be discussing on the erratic power situation experienced by many Nigerians, the current heat waves we have, scarcity of the PMS, and the high cost of diesel has made the situation unbearable. The unwanted situation has also brought untold hardship on the masses. So joining us on the show are 3 guests to discuss it from different angles. So we'll be having, on the first in the studio, we have Dr. Muda Yusuf. He's the CEO Center for Promotion of Private Enterprise, and you're going to be focusing on the effects of this on our businesses and the economy at large. Then we have Professor Sam Amadi, who is the former chairman, Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission. That's NERC. These are the regulators. So he was the former chairman, and he tells us, especially because we hear that this problem particularly came from the generating, that's the power grid, Egbin power grid we hear. And also we have our dear Sunday Oduntan. He's going to be Otunba Sunday Oduntan. Will be speaking on the part for the discos. But first, let me start with Professor Sam Amadi, because this matter originated from a commission that you used to chair, the GENCOs. We're having, please, just for Nigerians who have no idea what GENCOs are, tell us the entire, that chain of the gas to the GENCOs, transmission to the discos. What is what's the process, and then what caused this big power plant that collapsed, and how can we prevent it going forward?
I find it difficult to do class work on television, but let me try. The basic, GENCO, disco, transco, whatever you call it. The simple point is that many people collaborate in producing any good. any good. So let's take, for example, the television program that we're doing. There are correspondents, outfield, there are those who are editing the stories, and there are those who are the technical people. So put it this way, power, like the way you do bread, has raw material. And usually in our own system, it's more of gas. And if you have the hydro plants use water form. So for gas, which is largely about 80 to 85% of our generators in this country, what that means is that somebody provides the gas, so that's the gas supplier. So there is a different person in a different market in the oil and gas sector. In Nigeria, we don't have a converged gas and Nigerian electricity market. So the gas market, which is oil and gas, is different, and it's different. Now, so the gas is used, the generator is the man who uses the gas with his machines, which we call the turbine, and generates electricity. So his own business is to sell that product. The equivalent of the man who takes flour from a flour mill, and then he pays him off, and then the bread seller manufacturer produces the bread. But of course, that bread is going to supermarket. Supermarket takes the bread, and that's what we call distribution. So when the generator generates power, it sells to the disco, the person you know who gives you the power. And that disco then delivers to your home or your business. The same way, maybe a supermarket that has a retail outlet retails to you, takes it with your Okada or with your dispatch people and deliver bread, and you have your breakfast. Now, the key thing to note is that all these sectors are integrated, but at the same time, they are semi-independent, which means it's possible for the generator to be paid this money and there's a failure to transmit power to you and he or she doesn't know. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that to have power in your home, the need for synchronizing all these processes. And one way to synchronize them is by ensuring two things. One, technical aspect, meaning that the power generated, the gas gets to the power generator plant, the generating plant is able to take it to transmission, which is the vehicle that carries it to your distribution outlet, which is like a retailer who sells to you. If there's a technical problem on that value chain, then you will not have power. The other is the financial aspect. So the technical engineering, the lights are there.
Professor, let me pause you for a second. Professor, let me pause you for a second because of time. The issue people are saying is that maybe government does not have the capacity because we understand the distribution has been deregulated, it's private, but these other components are still government-owned. So is it that government doesn't have the capacity? Maybe it should also privatize the generating and the transmission and even the gas plants anyway.
Yes, good point. The generation has been privatized. What has not been privatized is just the transmission. And by the way, the notion of you must privatize everything is a wrong one. If you look at many countries in the world, yes, the transmission is supposed to be, if you like, either you privatize it or not, it has to be some level of public good. It's a open source, meaning everybody, just like expressway, about Lagos Express Road, every vehicle uses it. So you have an option to concession that express road. They are able to use, pay toll and use it. But the problem is not about privatizing transmission. It's actually about three things. One, having a system that is financially strong. The discos make their investment, they're able to make their investment. The generators make their investment, they're all private. And the government is able to provide enough capacity for the transmission service. So the reason why we don't have power is simple. There are many inefficiencies in the system which we have not solved all these days. For example, the discos may not be able to collect all the money they ought to collect, either because, as Odita will say, either because their tariffs are not as they want, or the consumers are not going to pay their bills, and therefore they have high losses. And secondly, they don't have the level of financing individually and as a group to finance the investment they need to improve their network so that maybe over time they recover. On the part of government, the government policies have not been strong in terms of improving transmission, the governance of that TCN. So yes, it might be right to say privatize TCN. It might be right to say break the transmission network, have southwest or western, northern, eastern, so that you'll be able to manage them more efficiently. So the question here are two-pronged. One is about efficiency. Can you create an efficient system. 2, financing. Do you have a formula for making sure that the discos, those who bought these assets, can get money? They don't have that kind of money. They borrowed at high rate. They use their personal assets. They didn't have enough money. They can't borrow enough money. And if you look at Egypt and Tunisia, elsewhere in the world, where government privatized gradually, the system is different. So the point is inefficiency, lack of.
Okay, let me pause you also. I'll come back to. I'll let ladies come and ask questions, but let me just bring in Sunday Oduntan right now. Otunba, are you there? Otunba Oduntan, are you there?
Good morning, I can hear you.
Good morning. Okay, so Professor Amadi said something about 2 key things. You don't have discos are not well funded, and secondly, inefficiency. Let's start with the inefficiency part. Why does it seem as though the discos are inefficient at this time?
Okay, I will answer that, but before I go into that, let me correct something that we need to all understand. First of all, my good brother, he has spoken very well. And he knows the issues, he knows what the problem is. The current problem in Nigeria, as at this morning, has little or nothing to do with the discos. In the last 4 weeks, there has not been light. So please, when people talk, disco, please, take that one out of your bucket first. The reason why you have not had light, whether you're in Magodo or Sokoto or Abeokuta or Ilorin or Parakot, is a problem between generation and transmission. And they have issued a statement, they have explained. So that is going on. We are not involved in the blame game, okay? So don't go down to when you look at the value chain, you just jump from generation straight to disco. Now let me talk about efficiency. Efficiency has a lot to do with cost. You cannot be talking about efficiency if the price is not right. You cannot sell bread that is worth 100 naira for 50 naira and you expect Mamamulika, the bread seller, to be efficient. She will start cutting corners. You will soon be buying your bread without nylon. So my brother is right. Efficiency is lacking. We're not having the kind of efficiency all throughout the value chain, including us, the disco. I've said it many times. I said we are not efficient enough, but we cannot continue to undersell the product. Even when you borrow money from any bank, even now, we cannot even borrow now, but even to borrow money anywhere, the person who is lending money to you will want to know how you're going to recoup the investment, how you're going to pay back. If the business you are doing is such that people are not paying, and I'll give you an example. As I'm talking today, we have over 300 billion naira being owed by ministries, departments, and agencies. NDA debt is very, very high. That's on the government side, though. So if government is not even paying, how do you expect a person that lives in the slum to understand the need for him or her to pay for electricity? So I agree, there's a lot of inefficiency, but that is driven by the lack of the appropriate.
Let me pause you for a second and let me bring in Dr. Yusuf into this conversation. So you've heard the regulators, the distribution, now we the people are talking. How is this affecting us? Because I think Mariam took it in the papers today. The bread sellers are complaining that they're about to increase the prices. Everybody's saying the prices are high. What do you think can be done at this point?
Yeah, well, first of all, let me say that the government has a responsibility to sort all of these things out. Because you can see the rate at which people are throwing blames all over the place. As far as the citizens are concerned, what we want is power. And the reason we have a government in place is to ensure that such basic services are also provided for the citizens. Whatever it will take, because I've heard stories from the GENCOs, they are being owed 1.6 trillion. The NBET is saying that they are owing 500 billion, all sorts of stories. So the government has a responsibility to tidy up this space. There's too much mess in that space. Now, coming back to the effects on the citizens and on businesses, of course, the effects are very obvious. We have the effect on the production costs. As we are speaking now, many businesses have suspended production. Because first, you have the collapse of the public power supply, and at the same time, you have this very serious spike in the cost of diesel. So if you produce, how are you going to sell it? You know, there's very high cost of, consumer resistance. If the price is too high, the consumers will not buy. And there's a limit to which those who are producing can continue to absorb this cost, particularly those at the SME level. Some of them have suspended production. Some of them have scaled down their production completely. And of course, you know the implication of that, especially for job creation, for employment, and all of that. That is one. Then generally across all sectors, there's a very serious impact on the operating costs. This is a broadcasting station. This station is 24 hours. If you check with your accountant how much has been expended on diesel in the last 1, 2, 3 months, it's going to be humongous.
I want a quick break, because I know that even BC was complaining recently that they've not bought wig in a while because we don't have that extra income. My sister. It's the same issue you're having. Your own business has been affected because before people buy hair, but now everybody's like, I would rather prioritize. Hair will come later. Money, but let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll let the ladies open the conversation with our guests in this. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still discussing about the power issue. And the ladies, they are Nima. Go ahead, please.
Sam Amadi, MBET, that's the Nigerian bulk electricity trading company, yes, has come out to say that they've been paying. They said in December they paid the 39 billion. And in this January that just finished, they also paid the Gencos 39 billion. I think this money said total of 77 billion paid so far, and yet power is still where it is. Is money the real issue or the resource? So what I'm looking at is gas is what they need. Do we have the facility? Because all through gas issue, we've been hearing that we don't have the facility to do gas, we need the funds and all of that when it comes to gas. So is it the money that MBET is owing Gencos that is the issue here, or gas? So we know what we're dealing with.
I think, see, there's a money problem in this sector, but it's not the only problem. And I agree with my friend Oduntan that, well, you need to keep tariffs at the right place, but tariffs alone will not solve this problem. Now, let's take, for example, the issue. It's primarily gas to the Gencos. The gas companies are not supplying gas for 2 reasons. One is that this sector is not credible. We were not paying. Now, before we left, there was a CBN facility which was designed for the purpose of 213 billion to pay off the legacy debts of gas in a manner that the CBN has control. The CBN brought that money, and the DISCO is supposed to be paying, CBN is supposed to be taking it from source. Now, the idea was, if you don't give creditworthiness to the gas suppliers, they have other markets. They have the fertilizer companies, they have other markets to go to. So they won't go to power. And by the way, they're not together regulated together like in the UK and in the US, where FAC regulates gas transport. So the gas sector is different. And when you're not paying them, they don't give you gas. So the failure, in my view, is the failure of the regulator and the policymakers not to mandate high-level minimum payment from the market, so that the DISCOs bring money into the market settles the gas people. So you're not settling gas people, then they don't give you gas. And so, yes, the dispute around what MBET owes. MBET is right, they have paid a lot, but they're still owing significant. But this is a debt-based market. Owing is not the problem. It's the guarantee, it's the creditworthiness. Every market people owe, but the debtors, those who are owed, have confidence that the system will pay them. And they have guarantee that those payments will come maybe in tranches. And what we see in this market is a growing loss of confidence.
Yeah.
Creditworthiness as a supplier. So the DISCOs are not, they ought to have, again, also, are they doing enough to also collect their money? And if they collect the money, is the regulator bench minimum payment so that everybody gets sufficient to allow them continue to improve their system, while we hope that some will get more fair.
Chief Oduntan, and this, I would like, in your own view, do you think that the Nigerian government is serious about investing in the power sector? Because we hear the Gencos are being owed, trillions of naira. We're hearing all sorts of money being, if government could make some money available or make this money available, we would see some difference. I'm asking because we have a group of governors now who will be leaving for Dubai, 14 governors. And from a credible source, we've just received, how much it will cost per governor plus his aides to go there, about 73 million. If we multiply that by 14 governors and gave that to the power sector, would it make a difference? And how does it make you feel if you find that there's that sort of money available to travel to Dubai for a few days and then after Dubai go to the US then for medical trips, and then there's no money available to a big investment like the power sector?
Professor, I want to take that out.
Is the question for me?
Yes, go ahead. Otunba.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I've said it before that Nigerians, there are three parties to the problem with the power sector. Number one problem is the government, which includes, of course, the policy makers and everybody, the federal government, state government, and local government. Number two problem is we, the operators. Number three problem is me and you, including Morayo and all the ladies there, the customers. If you really want electricity, every time I hear you say the money is too high, what I expect you to be saying, especially the educated people, is to say how much does it cost to produce a kilowatt hour of electricity? What is the landing cost? So that we can all agree what the tariff should be. Not you just sitting down in your sitting room and expecting free of charge, very cheap electricity, and you want there to be light. There won't be light. For we, the operators, we need to be made accountable. We need to be dealt with appropriately, such that we should do what we're supposed to be doing. We, the operators, which includes generation, transmission, and distribution. The TCN, last week or so, or 2 weeks ago, released a statement where they said 14 gas-powered generating stations were not generating at all. 14. Yes. When the generation companies are not generating, what do you want the transmission company to transmit? And when the transmission company does not transmit to us, the discos, what do you want us to distribute to your homes? But when you turn around, who do you call on? Who do you abuse? Disco. Now, the third level of people, customers, if you don't pay for this service one day, or you continue to steal energy, the people continue to steal. So for the government and those who are going on those jamboree trips, that is one of the problems. I watched the two conventions. PDP have done their own, and now I watched that of the APC. My interest was I was looking at the bulletproof cars, I was looking at the SUVs, and I was calculating the cost of it. When you sum all of that together, the cost of government in Nigeria is too high. When you have such
let me pause you for a second.
Cost of governance, you will not be able to invest in the power sector.
Let me be sure that I'm clear, because based on what Mariam just said, who is owing who? Is it like government is owing NBET? Is government owing the Gencos? Who is? We know you've told us already that the MDAs are already owing these schools. That one, you said about 300 million. That one is a different issue. But this big money that is it the government is owing, or who is owing them?
Well, you may need to invite people in NBET to come out and tell you the figures. What I know as a disco man is that government at all levels are owing us in unpaid bills. And I mentioned ministry, departments, and agencies. And if you are not able to collect, how can we remit upstream? Which is what my brother Amadi said. Good point. We need to be paying to the market. But I can only pay, you cannot tie my hands and expect me to be clapping. So government, between NBET, generation companies, transmission companies, I think people need to come out and be saying their story. Let people know the truth. Let us come out and be more transparent. As far as we, the discos, are concerned, every single cover that is collected is monitored by the CBN, and they sweep the money. In fact, we're in a deep, deep hole as I speak. So let everybody come out and let's come to a round table. Okay. Let us open it up. Let's look at the cost of doing all this business.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, BC.
Okay. My question is for the three guests we have in the studio. I know that there's always this blame game that goes on Genco will blame Tranco will blame Disco. They keep, passing the blame, and we see where the problem is. And I feel that they work independent of each other. Have they come to a round table to say, this is the problem we have as Gencos, this is the problem we have as the transmission companies, this is the problem we have as the Discos. How can we solve this problem together? What are some of the things we need to present and push together as a body? Because right now, Nigerians are concerned about electricity. Nobody's understanding all this English we've been speaking. We want light. So have they come together as a different bodies trying to solve a particular problem for the consumers to say, this is what we need from government, and start pushing it? If you need NLC to join you, if you need civil society to join you, and push you so that we understand where the problem is and fight it as one force. Have you people done that? Is that work in progress?
I will let Professor Amadi come to that question, but I don't want us to go with the assumption that the problem is from the government. Because there's the part where when that round table, they had that meeting where they said they don't have cost-reflective tariff.
Yes.
They came to us.
No, all the problems. So
they came to us. They wanted us to be the one to pay.
Yes.
But if we're assuming the problem is from the government, what is government? Who is pushing them to pay that money? That's what we're just saying. Like, what are they? What can we do to ensure government pays this money that they are owing us? Professor Amadi, I want you to answer this question, please, and I'll come to Dr. Yusuf. Professor Amadi, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
So, basically, wanted to know if there was a roundtable conversation where all three parties are going to identify the problem and then get others to see that they can solve it. Yeah.
Yes, I can answer it straightforward. You see, when we're there, we used to have what you call the industry meeting bi-weekly, which disclose everybody comes in. The primary responsibility of this sector is the regulators, not anybody. Just like the financial market, the CBN is the one who's responsible. So we used to have bi-weekly meeting of all the operators, including the Ministry of Power Central Bank reps in my office. And what that meeting does for us is to do problems spotting and tracking all these issues, and will provide solutions. I don't know whether that is happening now. So I see a weakening of that governance. But let me say this quickly. Yes, these three problems adapt. See, every market, this could talk about cost-reflective tariff. In the last 6 months, this tariff has also moved up small. Different tariff belts have increased. I pay more where I live now, and I'm supposed to have more light. But you will never have, in Nigerian socio-economic context, the tariffs that allows a disco to charge the total amount that he could charge immediately. That's why the tariff is staggered for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, to allow them to recover all the money. So the idea of this sector is that you invest today and recover tomorrow. That's how it's designed. But you must have a tariff structure that gives confidence for investment to come in. Whether we have got there is a different problem. So I don't want us to go with the impression that, if the price of producing something is 100,000, consumers will pay 100,000 today. No. What this market needs now is strong government supervision and investment. You talk about this money going to the disco, going for Jamboree. We are not able politically to shut down on expensive governance and put more money by public sector money into the more services like TCN. If it improves TCN and reduce that tariff level, then the tariff that they're collecting for Disco and Genco is a good markup.
Let me get a few more questions for you.
To leverage investment. So I blame government.
Right.
So Otunba, you did not mention outrageous estimated bills that are still flying around, even though we are talking about Nigerians not willing to pay cost-reflective tariff. But I would like to quickly just leave the two power people to our guests in studio. The situation in Nigeria... I know you're
always interested in the issue of estimated billing. Thank you. It may interest you. Estimated billing occurs where there are no meters. I can assure you that as I speak today, efforts since September 2020, the federal government has come up with a scheme whereby people are being metered. There are two of them.
We've heard it before. Don't worry. We've heard about it before. We've heard this. Don't worry.
Hold on.
We'll come back to you, Otunba. Wait. We'll come back. That's your scheme. We've heard it before. We'll come back to you. Just give us a minute. Sir,
so let's talk about the economy as it's reflecting because of this power issue on the people. You saw the Vox Pop.
how everybody is complaining that, something has to be done. How has this affected businesses? How is it, how are we even surviving with the issue of fuel? What must government see? What data must they get to help us? And what can they even do in the immediate? Somebody said drastic measure has to be taken. Which of them?
Well, in matters like this, I think the government needs to declare a state of emergency. Because this is a very serious matter. Now, it is bad enough that we are grappling with very high inflation before this crisis. Although we have an official inflation figure of about 15.7%. But if you check the reality, many prices have jumped by 30%, 50%, even 100%.
Yes.
And you know the implication of that for the welfare of the people, for purchasing power. A situation where nominal incomes are not growing and prices are growing, that means that your real income is collapsing. And that has very serious implications for poverty. It has very serious implications even for the social environment, for social tension.
Let's put ourselves in the shoes of the government for a second. I know we are civilians and we hate this conversation.
Yeah.
If I am government today and I'm hearing a disco man saying, they've not paid us, Erratic is saying, everybody's saying they haven't paid. And I'm government saying, where will I get this money from? I don't have the money. I'm not generating money. I can't get money from taxes. I've tried to get taxes. The money from fuel that I want to get, subsidy, I can't remove subsidy, because if I can't remove subsidy, and also carry placard. So I have to, the trillions of naira, I have to continue to give it to Obiajulu. She's the marketer, collecting this money from me. I can't remove subsidy. Where will I get the money from?
But
because NLC will not allow me. So if I stop the traveling, so where will this money come from? Is this 73 million naira that you're saving? Will this solve your problem?
No. You see, the 70 million you said?
Yes. 73. This was from Plateau State.
That is just for a state.
Yes, from Plateau State.
You haven't seen the picture for the federal.
Yes.
You see, if you look at the whole budgetary process, there are so many areas in which savings can be made.
Yes.
Each time we talk about deficit, debt, and all of that, the government is always talking about how to get more revenue. What is happening to how to cut expenditure?
Exactly.
This is just an example of it.
Let's leave expenditure cutting first. We need infrastructure in gas. And we get to cook for roads. Can we raise these funds, the euro bonds and all of that, and target providing the infrastructure so that we can get the gas to the plant?
And you tell them to worry like Bese.
But no, Bese to pay subsidy and Bese to build the facility for gas.
Anytime Minister of Finance says they want to collect money, she will be the person carrying plaque. No,
carefully just
you see, even those of us...
Bese to pay subsidy and Bese to build infrastructure for gas. Which Bese should you choose?
They already dreamed that already.
I know. I listened to, I think it was the finance minister, who was saying that they are going to use part of the euro bond
20 euro bond
to be paying subsidy.
Thanks.
You know, we have gone around this conversation around subsidy for a long time. And that is what has also brought us to where we are. Now, all this and all of, the situation wouldn't have been as bad if you had an environment. Policy doesn't cost money. Reform doesn't cost money. But you have an environment where only the NNPC is managing the system. Private investors are not there.
They can't come
because
in,
the policy environment has blocked everybody out.
Yeah.
And tell me what institution or what ecosystem that the public sector, the bureaucrats and politicians have managed properly. So when you leave such a strategic sector to the bureaucrats and politicians to manage, that is
I have to wrap up.
Yes, I just wanted to say, if we declare a state of emergency, what would that mean?
No, it will mean that you have to find the resources.
Yes. It's not the nomenclature.
The resources are there. They have to find the resources to fix all these problems that the Jengos are complaining, to fix the transmission.
We have very few minutes left. Otunba, let me ask you this question very quickly, Otunba. This money that the MDAs are owing, if government finds money to pay, would it solve your problem?
It will stop a substantial part of the problem if government pays. And I have to say that government have been promising that they will pay. We have all been getting the promises. We only hope they will do that. But let me quickly put something in. You were mentioning whether we meet. I give it to the former governor Fashola, and I give it to my brother here. When Dr. Amadi and Governor Fashola were there, We're having monthly meetings, and that helped a lot. But I can confirm that there's a meeting coming up now on the 6th and 7th of April. TCN initiated it, all of us, DISCO, GENCO, TCN, perhaps with the policymakers. So in terms of debt, help us to beg government. It has come to a point where a creditor will be begging a debtor. We are not begging. Because it is when they pay that we can also pay. That's just the point we are making. If everybody play their role, I think we'll be fine. But all of us are complicit. You as a customer. Because beside your house, some people are stealing energy. And you feel it's not your business. It has to be your business, Morales. Right. That's what we all have to do.
All right. I have to wrap up. Professor Amadi, your final words on this before we wrap up.
I agree that all should pay. I think government should think notion that government has no role in business in utilities. The electricity system grew up as a public monopoly, became private monopoly. The government needs to be more efficient, invest more resources, and closely mark the discos. But when we took over, we did some random check on the discos. I was discovered some discos were doing well, some were not doing well, and we penalized them. In fact, some returned money. So we should not assume that private businessmen are necessarily there to solve public good. You have to give them incentive and also sanction them. That's how you manage public behavior, private behavior in public sector. Don't assume that Dangote's job is to create cement for you, is to make money. You leverage on that incentive and create cement. The same with electricity. Private sector will not solve the problem.
Right.
Government has to leverage on them.
Exactly. All right, let me let Dr. Yusuf have his final words on this.
Well, just as I said, this is a very serious situation. We need to address the issue of this energy sector, and we need to put in place a framework very urgently that will allow more private investment in both the power sector and in the petroleum downstream sector.
If you're a private investor, would you invest in
enter inside this matter?
If the environment is right, why not?
Is the environment right?
Yes. No, it's the environment. Yeah. We talk about the tariff, we talk about the regulatory environment and all of that. If you create the environment, investment will come.
Okay, we have to wrap up.
So it's both a policy thing and a regulatory thing.
That's all we can take. I'm not even sure if this conversation really solved that problem.
It didn't solve any problem. I don't know why you're still giving the MDAs light when they've not paid you. You can't take a stand and say we're not going to supply you like
you giving MDAs light and they don't not pay you.
What's the minister saying?
I don't know.
Okay, we have to run. Unfortunately, we run out of time. That's all we can take on the show this morning. We are still giving them this light. The minister is not talking. We haven't seen the minister. There's a time we used to see the minister of power, like when in this kind of crisis, you see the person back. I don't even know. Okay, I think it's our president now.
No, our president is minister for petroleum.
Petroleum is not power.
He's silent.
He's silent. Very silent minister of power.
He may not be electricity.
We had a meeting recently with the president on power. Yeah.
He wasn't there. He said the representative.
No, he was there.
No, the House of Reps, he sent a representative.
That's a representative.
He sent a representative.
Did you see that? Did you see the resolution? At the let me know. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. We run out of time. He said they have a meeting.